to the CHGO White Sox podcast, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook. Download the app today and use promo code CHGO when you sign up. Welcome into Studio A of our CHGO offices here in the West Loop of Chicago. I look really short right now. I am Sean Anderson. You can follow me on Twitter at Sean_W_Anderson. Alongside me is the Giants, Vinny Duber. You can follow him on Twitter at Vinny Duber. He's our CHGO White Sox beat writer. And Herb Lawrence.
Hello.
You can follow him on Twitter at Ecknerwall23. He's our CHGO White Sox community leader. We got a new little bit we're going to try. We're going to try to predict the future in certain categories. Going to start in the hit category today. Then we're going to go into the Monday mailbag, and we've talked a little bit about the ideal rotation and the ideal lineup. Will be tough to do an ideal bullpen with circumstances, but we'll talk about the bullpen and what it might look like on opening day. That way it'll be a little bit easier of a discussion. But excited to talk White Sox here. And what's up, Bryce and KPW in the chat? And thank you, KPW, who tells me I always look short. It's probably true.
He's not wrong.
He's not wrong. Let's jump in to something that I found interesting here. It was from Baseball America, J.J. Cooper. And we've been talking a lot about the shorter games that have been happening. And I think you brought up whether beer would be adjusted or even concession prices. And J.J. Cooper dug into all 120 minor league stadiums and asked around just like, hey,
man,
sales
to have that kind of time.
Hey, and he did it. He's a warrior for doing it. But basically, what he said, and I have this part highlighted, a fourth operator said that concession revenue actually went up. He also noted that their post-game promotions where kids run the bases were attended because families were much more willing to stick around for the entire game, which he took as a positive sign for developing young fans. Multiple operators also noted that the game day employees have said how happy they are with the change since they are getting home half an hour earlier than they were before. But most concession people are like, no, usually during a 3-hour game, the 7th and 8th and 9th innings don't sell a lot of stuff.
As someone who's worked in a concession stand at a minor league ballpark, that is anecdotally true.
Yeah.
Obviously, Mr. Cooper there, who you've hung with Mr. Cooper, right?
All the time.
He dug into the actual numbers, but anecdotally, I can tell you, yeah, once you hit those late innings, you're just waiting. You're just waiting for things to wrap up. You get like one kid who runs up for the big 3 feet long bag of popcorn, and that's about it.
He finally bugged his parents to,
right.
Or maybe dad's a little bit too deep in, and hey, the wallet's flowing, kids. But we I don't know.
Yeah, it's good.
It's good.
It's good for everybody. Like they say, money still gets better when you're having a shorter game, I would imagine. But I would also wonder how that affects major league ballparks. The minor league ballparks aren't as well populated. When you're at guaranteed rates, sometimes those lines are a little bit longer. And so I just want them to understand that this is going to be a problem for somebody initially, adjusting to these faster games. The pace is faster. People want to drink. And so there was also a survey that the White Sox and their fandom drinks the most out of any fan base in Major League Baseball. Anecdotally, I don't know if that's true. There's been a couple fights at White Sox ballpark. We're a little rowdy.
Couple?
Yeah, a couple. But I don't know if...
You mean like a night, right?
Yes, exactly. And so, there's tailgating at White Sox ballpark, which it doesn't happen at every one. So I think that is part of it too. Pre-game drinking, in-game drinking, after-game drinking. So I think that I hope the Major League Baseball and their operators understand people are going to be pissed if they're in the 6th inning and you're like, oh, we're cutting off sales because probably there's only an hour left in the game. We don't want you to be driving home drunk. So now you need to think about things like that and adjust on the fly. So I don't know why they cut it off in the first place. Responsible people are never going to drink after a certain amount because they know their limits. And irresponsible people are going to push that limit anyways and drive home drunk anyway. So, but I just want people to have a good time because the ballpark is my sanctuary. It's a fun place. No matter what I say on this thing about the White Sox and their organization, I have a good time every time I hit Guaranteed Rate Field, and that's a testament to the White Sox and how they play baseball and how they have that atmosphere out there. So it's good that people are still making money in the minor leagues, even though the games and the pace is quicker.
Right. Hopefully, again, it's just a better product for all of baseball. This is for the first 7 White Sox games, 232 for spring training, 232, 236, 233, 228, 232, 233, and 226.
Keep the momentum going.
Isn't that fun? Isn't that great?
God.
It's just consistency. And the joke now is just basically what can you match up with Pedro Baez throwing a pitch in the 2016 NLCS, and it's a minute 30 where like the catcher's doing this on the guards. He's throwing every single signal down. Pedro Baez is shaking him off. David Ross keeps doing this with the bat, just being like, all right, let's go. Here we go. All right, timeout. And then finally, but there's like Wandy Peralta who threw 3 pitches. You could play
20 seconds.
Yeah, you could play Wandy Peralta striking that guy out 5 times before Pedro Baez throws a pitch.
And the thing is, in that broadcast, Joe Buck is exasperated. He feels it. You could tell. Hey, Ken Rosenthal, what do you have to waste some time before the next pitch is thrown? Because he knows that Pedro Baez is taking an inordinate amount of time. That is the poster boy, as you say, for slow pitching. That doesn't happen in every Major League Baseball game. No. But also there was one that would just happen last year with Mark Canha, pretty much just stepping out of the box, like 1 foot in the box, and just, he threw me a fastball. He was like thinking for like 20 seconds before he stepped back in the box. And somebody's like, well, he's still in the box. Like, no, now that would be a strike on him. You got to stay in the box and address the pitcher before 8 seconds is gone. This is going to take an adjustment, but I think every baseball fan is going to like this. Even the baseball players are going to like it. Initially, it's going to take some time for them to adjust because they're used to their whole thing. As Vinny's guy, Nomar Garcia-Parra, if he was playing right now, I think he would have to just adjust the straps real quickly.
Just go real fast in the batting gloves.
Yeah.
I think what the pitch clock will probably tell us is that all of this nonsense prior to this year could have been like totally avoided. Like you mentioned, like, the stepping out of the box, calling time. It all had nothing to do with the actual, hitting a baseball. It all had everything to do with like mental gamesmanship and trying to one up everybody. And listen, that's part of the game. I understand it. But like now we're going to go to an era where that is just out the window because you literally do not have time to do that. And guess what? Baseball's still going to just be baseball, and it will go on unencumbered, and we're just going to be like, what were we sitting around watching all these guys stare into space and take time and pause forever on the mound? What were we doing? Why were we doing that?
And I think it's going to bring more people out to the ballpark, too, because they're like, it's under 3 hours. And like you said, kids get to run the bases on Sundays. I'm going to stay around because, after 3 hours, your kid's tired. He wants to go home. He or she wants to go home. They got school the next day. I don't got time for all this. Now it's 2.5 hours? Go ahead, kids.
Well, and I think the same applies to watching it at home, too. You know what I mean? Like, I think you probably see ticket sales be about the same, at least this first year. Maybe it'll go up over time. But, like, I think the big thing is getting somebody to turn it on at home. You know what I mean? It's not like oh, my God, I got to block out 4 hours of my night and I can't go to bed until 11 o'clock because I got to watch the end of the baseball game. No, thank you. I'll watch, 2 episodes of TV and go to bed. Mm-hmm. Now, it's a little more easy to plan around, and you can say, all right, well, tonight we're going to watch this, and, it's easy to pop your kid in front of it and probably get a lot more viewers on TV initially than you will necessarily going up to the ballpark, but that, too, can obviously lead to that.
Since the World Cup, I've been watching more soccer, and that is, 90 minutes, and you have a little bit of
commercials.
No commercials. Extra time gets a little bit weird. Why is there 9 minutes? Yeah, it's dumb, but still, it's about 100 minutes of time, and that's really nice to just commit your afternoon to. I've really enjoyed that, and hopefully baseball gets back to that. It's just a nice wee little 3 hours, right? And
2.5.
Yeah, right. Well, to get there and back. Yeah. But even fireworks too. It's not going to be going off at like 11:30. And Mailman Jack, my Southside guy, always talks about the Metro Rock Island. That always ruin my night because it's like, oh, well, great. I will be either taking a train home at 10:15 or 12:30. It's always
no in between.
There's no in between. So you just gotta, either bite the bullet and leave early or wait, hours just at the platform. And usually it's cold, so I don't want to.
Yeah, as a guy who used to do both the board for Cubs and White Sox and the Bulls. When I went to do the Bulls game, I was like, man, this is a breeze. Those games are over before 3 hours every single time because they just like go. There was no consistent thing with the Cubs, especially when doing the board for 670 to score. I would be doing a 9-inning game and it would be 4:17. I'm like, what do we need this for? What, 4 hours of me sitting on this chair pushing buttons? No, go quicker. If there's a 4-hour and 17-minute game now, that game better have been 12 innings.
12?
It better at least minimum 12 innings.
You're talking about doubling the length of the game at this point. I think it's going to be that game would have to be about 18 or 19 innings.
And start doing that dumb thing
and
too.
the ghost runner, yeah.
They're still doing that dumb thing, even though I actually kind of like it now.
That's permanent now.
Is it?
Oh yeah, that ain't going away. I don't like it.
My idea should
You
be.
don't like it?
My idea would be go 9 innings, then 3 extra innings. If it's not solved by then, everybody gets a home run derby. 1 through 9, 1 pitch. If you hit a home run, you hit it 1. If you don't, you're out.
The ghost runner rule is bad because the pitcher can be perfect and still lose.
Yes.
No, that's exactly
You should not. You should only lose if someone outgames you. You know what I mean? Outplays you. And the pitcher in this situation can do everything right. Get 3 outs in a row, and a run can score.
But it wouldn't count as an earned run, would it?
No.
But that's
still
just
unearned.
stats. I mean, you're talking about the outcome of the game, right? You're talking what's a pitcher's job? To prevent a run from scoring so your team wins the game. He can do everything that he needs to do in order to do that, but because there's a guy on second base, ground out, fly out, boom, run.
And they charge that L to him, and I'm sure during arbitration and free agency, they're like, hey, you lost 7 games. Like, 3 of those were those extra inning garbage games. What are you talking about? Give me my money type of thing. They should have an extra thing like in hockey where it's like win, loss, overtime.
I think draw.
Loss.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should have an extra loss. Like, I won 7 games, lost 3, and I had 3 overtime losses.
I think
Extra time losses.
No extra innings. There's 162 games.
And just one
There's
tie?
9 innings. There's enough at bats. There's 27 at bats for you to score effing runs. I think just have it be a draw because you're 100% right. Like Joe Kelly can strike somebody out, but Yasmani Grandal isn't the best blocker or whatever, and his knuckle curve gets away.
Well, but
that
that's
runner
even-
advances up to third, and that could right. No,
That's even your team screwing up.
Right.
I'm talking about nothing. Your team does nothing
Making
wrong
noise.
at all. And
Ground ball to short, ground ball to second, guy goes to third, ground ball to second, run scores, ground ball to third, innings over, you got to run out of there.
I used to be very, very anti-tie. I still think it's ludicrous that there are ties in the NFL when, college football has shown you a very fine way to not have ties. But I think you're right. I think I agree with you. I would rather see a third column in the standings for ties in baseball more than I would want this extra inning rule. I don't like this extra inning rule.
And then what we could do in the playoffs? Have extra innings.
Just keep going.
It's just
Like
normal
in hockey.
baseball.
Like in hockey.
Yeah,
Right.
right.
Just keep
Which
going.
Is,
Right.
Which is normal. And then that would be crazy where it's 18 innings. Like, yeah, hell yeah, I'm staying
Right,
for an
exactly,
18 inning
right.
game. It's like
this game is different than the regular season
Right.
games. This game counts a lot more.
Yeah, Rob Manfred sucks. Anyways, let's take a quick break and let you know about DraftKings Sportsbook, their official sports betting partner of CHGO. I'm going to be setting my own lines a little bit later. We're going to be talking about most hits for the White Sox in 2023. So get your betting hats out, boys. I placed some lines on this, and I placed it and was inspired by DraftKings Sportsbook, the best sportsbook out there. You got NBA No Sweat Same Game parlays going on. If you place a bet up to $10 and your bet loses, you get a bonus bet up to $10 back. I got a NHL parlay for you. We love a revenge narrative. Alex DeBrincat coming back to the United Center for the first time since being traded. I like him to score a goal, Ottawa to score first, and them to win by 1.5 goals. That's at plus 300 on DraftKings Sportsbook. And there's also MLB future bets. We talked about Eloy Jimenez and his home run total on CHGO bets, over 29.5. I like the over. So download the app now and sign up with code CHGO. New customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA, with code CHGO. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. Also got to let you know about Game Time. I bring up Alex DeBrincat. I bring up the Blackhawks. Why not go see a Blackhawks game tonight? They're playing the Ottawa Senators. Game Time is the hottest new ticketing site that makes it easier than ever to score the best deals on tickets to sports, concerts, and shows. If you ever dreamed of sitting on the glass at a hockey game, I once did it for the state finals, the ISH state finals. St. Rita played a different team, and I don't remember who won, but I sat up on the glass, and man, it's fun to watch those
New
guys
Trier.
skate. Probably.
Yeah, they're
Could
always
be.
in it.
Catholic League has hockey, huh?
Who?
Catholic League has
Oh, yeah,
hockey.
yeah.
Oh, I didn't know
Brothers
that.
is a hockey team.
That's cool.
There's
Carmel.
Mount Carmel, I guess, has one. Yeah. I think Marist has one. There's a nice new arena in on the south side, like 115th in Western. Maybe it's like 117th in Western. It's a nice little.
I was out in that area yesterday.
For what?
Met up with Jay Sawaski, who's
there you go.
CHGO Blackhawks, and 2 of our former colleagues at the Score. We had Los Angeles.
Very nice.
Delicious,
Good spot.
as I remember it.
Do you have a
We had
sausage?
the Los Angeles special, which is the sausage, the peppers, the onions, and the mushrooms. Delicious.
Very nice. But anyways, you can see how fast those guys can skate when you're up on the ice. And Game Time offers the biggest last-minute price drops, and they can be found on the seats you never thought you could buy. You won't find a better deal this season on Bulls, Blackhawks tickets, or when the White Sox take action first on April 3rd back here in Chicago. Game Time was created by the fans for the fans, and they guarantee the lowest price. If you love CHGO, then you'll love Game Time. The best way to support us is by buying your tickets through the link in the description. Join over 15 million people who have downloaded the Game Time app. Score some of the best seats to all your favorite events. All right, so I shared this on Twitter. The White Sox hit leader since 2014, when José Abreu first signed with the White Sox. In 2014, José Abreu led the team with 176 hits. In 2015, José Abreu led the team with 178 hits. There's a pattern here. In 2016, José Abreu led the team in hits with 183 hits. In 2017, José Abreu led the team in hits with 189 hits. In 2018, Yolmer Sanchez led the team in hits.
Holy hell.
With 145 hits.
Well, that's the year where Jose was on the IL a couple times, right? Mm-hmm. That's the
non-other 30-30 season or 30-100
Yeah.
season for him. He ended up playing in 128 that year and had 132 hits. So
he had two different injuries, I think, that year that knocked him out for a while.
was he hit by a pitch? Was that what?
Well, one of them was the testicular torsion injury, which required a procedure, and then he missed some time after that. I do not remember what the other one was. I want to say he was sick.
Hip flexor
He
strain?
had like a flu or something, maybe? I don't remember for sure.
His season ended with a thigh injury,
Then maybe
but it
that's
was an infection stemming from an ingrown hair on
There you
his
go.
right
He
leg.
was sick.
So he
Ooh.
was
Yeah.
taken down by an infection due to an ingrown hair
Never shave.
and
Yep.
some downstairs
down
problems. Yeah, that's tough. Is that from shaving? I think that's
That's
just
when
from-
ingrown hairs usually come from. At least for
right.
me.
Well, no,
Like if I shave the wrong way, I'll get definitely some keloids, some ingrown hairs. I can only shave down.
I meant the torsion part.
Oh,
I
I
don't
don't
know
know.
where
Probably
that comes
not.
from.
I mean,
That's-
if he's grabbing extra things, yeah.
I'd be worried. 117
After hearing of that, I mean, I was covering the team when that injury happened. For the last 5 years, I've just been like constantly fearful that that's going to happen.
Oh yeah. Ugh.
It's just terrifying.
Yeah,
The first time you brought it up, all four of us went "Eesh" at the same time.
Bad. That's bad.
I feel like a lot of our listeners
Torsion.
with that hardware would
Sounds
probably have the
harsh.
same reaction. It's gentle down there, folks. Again, Row.co is our sponsor for that area. But José Abreu led the team back in hits in 2019, 180. In 2020, with 76. In 2021, that was Tim Anderson when he led the American League with 163 hits. And then in 2022, José Abreu back at 183. And I will say right now that José Abreu will not lead the team in hits in 2023. Thank you,
I'm
everybody.
confident.
That's brave.
I'm confident. Interesting, though, that the year TA won the batting title, he did not lead the White Sox in hits. That was 19, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
What did he end?
Jose had a very good year that year as well, certainly. Yeah.
Yes, 335. He led the league in batting average, and he had 167 hits. Jose was at 180, so
Yeah.
it's just 123 games compared to 159. And again,
Yeah.
that's what the Sox are going to be losing. Is just that ability to post every single day. I did love seeing that the Astros are going to try to make him not hit ground balls, which is good for him. Hopefully that helps. But what do we make of the landscape for hit leaders with José Abreu gone?
I think that obvious common answer would be Tim Anderson, and I hope that comes true because if Tim hits a lot, the White Sox will win a lot. But I think Tim, as we've seen through his career, gets little injuries every once in a while, so he can't post, and that's half the reason why you see José Abreu getting all those hits and winning all those hit titles on the White Sox is because he plays every day and because he's a phenomenal talent. If Tim can do that, if Tim can stay healthy the whole year, of course he'll lead because he has the most at-bats, being the leadoff guy, and also he has the hit tool that most people in the league don't have. But for me, it's the new guy, Andrew Benintendi. In the 5 years that he's played a full season, or at least a full 162 games schedule, so 2020's out, he's averaging, 148.6 hits per year. So that was all that stuff before he comes into his prime. Right now, as a 28-year-old, he's in his prime. We saw what he did in his 27-year-old in Kansas City and New York. I think he's just getting and scratching the surface of where he's going to be. And if he's going to be batting second or third, as Pedro likes him to be, he's going to have a lot of opportunities to get these hits. And remember, no shift as much this year. I know he's not necessarily a guy they shift on a lot, but when they did, he went the other way. So I believe that Andrew Benintendi will have the hits lead on the White Sox, even though he gets injured a couple times, but he doesn't get injured as much as Tim Anderson.
I think anybody in the top 4 in that batting order could be the answer to this question. I think you see from José Abreu being the guy. Yes, it's about the games played. It's about getting all the at bats and trips to the plate in order to get all those hits. But he was the best hitter on the team, and I think it's very possible that this year the best hitter on the team could be Eloy Jimenez. The best hitter on the team could be Luis Robert. And really, with the exception of Benintendi, I don't think any of those 4 guys are big walkers. Eloy can do it. He has the ability to do that if he wanted to, but it's not like we're talking about these guys to the degree that we would an at their peak Yohan Moncada or an at their peak Yasmani Grandal, right? Even Andrew Vaughn has shown the ability to know that strike zone pretty well. So I think the answer is probably Tim Anderson at the end of the day, but I think TA is a great pick. I think Benintendi's a great pick. I think Robert's a great pick. I think Eloy is a great pick. And really, it comes down to, like you said, the games played, obviously, but if Eloy is the Eloy from the second half of the season last year, why can't he be the guy racking up all these hits? Luis Robert, for the fact that he hasn't really played that many games over 3 seasons in Major League Baseball, is still getting talked up as a guy who could win the MVP award. So, I think any 4 of those guys could really be the ones to top this list. I think the White Sox are probably hoping that it's quite the race between these 4 guys, because that probably means that they're having a nice year offensively.
Absolutely. Bringing up Eloy Jimenez and his stretch from last year, he ended up from July 6th to the end of the year. Ooh, I thought it would be more than that. I thought I'd find him easier. Okay. I was trying to see where he ranked with the MLB.
It's probably because he didn't qualify. You see if he qualified in those?
Well, he qualified because he played 78 hits. So José Abreu had 98 compared to Eloy
over that
78.
stretch.
Yeah, so he had 20 more hits in 7 more games. I'm not good at math. 80 games compared to 73 games.
Well, and Abreu, not only was he the best hitter on the team last year, he was one of the top hit getters in baseball last season, correct? At least in the American League.
Him and Arise were...
he had 183 last year. José Abreu. 83. That's pretty good. I mean, he's undefeated. I would go with your guy, Andrew Vaughn, but he's probably going to be batting lower in the order, so... I think he is the highest returning White Sox with hits from last year.
Let's get into now. Let me look that up for you. But let's get into at least my sportsbooks line, and then I'll look that up if Vaughn is the leading hit returner. Just kind of placing where you have Benintendi and Vaughn. Right now, I have Benintendi at plus 225 to lead the team in hits, and then Andrew Vaughn at plus 450 to lead the team in hits. So that's 4.5 to 1, and then 2 in what? 2/25 to 1. But then Tim Anderson's the leader at minus 135. Luis Robert at plus 110. Eloy Jimenez at plus 325. Yohan Moncada at plus 550. Elvis Andrus at plus 850. And Oscar Colas 10 to 1. And then the field 30 to 1. So Grandal, you think Gavin Sheets is going to have a good year? I'll take your money.
So I am going to show why I will never be invited onto CHGO bets, because I don't know what any of that meant that you just said.
So that's fair. Basically, Tim Anderson would be the favorite. At minus 135, you'd have to put down $135 to win 100.
That doesn't seem worth it.
No, it doesn't. If you put down $100 for Luis Robert to win, you'd win $110. So
you're going in the right direction now.
Right, well, yeah, but like also Tim Anderson, you just said, would probably lead the team in hits.
Yeah.
So, which one's a safe bet?
And I just checked out the leaders from last year. Of course, José Abreu, 183. The second guy is Andrew Vaughn, 138. The inverse. Third guy, any guesses who the third guy in hits last year for the White Sox was?
This is all about playing time, so...
I know this.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Number 3, behind Abreu and Vaughn?
Yep. I just think it's very hard to get this person because Most of us thought he had a bad year.
I think there's two people, and I know.
Is it Moncada?
It is not Yohan Moncada. He only had 84 hits.
Okay.
Oof.
Is it Alan Lorenz Pollock?
It is Alan Lorenz Pollock with his 120 hits, followed by Luis Robert with his 108 hits. Tim Anderson with exactly 100 hits. And the sixth-place guy is our guy, Steven Nelson's guy, Josh Harrison.
I thought it was Josh Harrison.
99 hits for Josh Harrison last year.
So let's go with Steamer projected hits as well. So Tim Anderson is the projected leader at 172 hits. Luis Robert Jr. at 161 hits. Eloy Jimenez at third with 149 hits. Andrew Vaughn projected to only get one more hit, 139.
Wow.
He was at 138 last year. Andrew Benintendi at 133.
Must be hurt.
Yohan Moncada at 126. Oscar Colas at 108, and Elvis Andrus at 107. Benintendi does play 128 games, where Tim and Luis play 139.
They're projecting him to miss 30 games?
Yes.
I don't know why.
How?
And then also they have Eloy and Vaughn being the team leaders in games played in 141. So is this a games played thing? Who is this?
I mean, it certainly
who
helps
plays
if
the
there's
most
big
games?
disparities, right? If there's big disparities, it does. I mean, if Luis Robert has an injury like he had in each of the, or in 2021, and he misses 2 months, if Eloy has a third straight year where he misses months, I mean, those are gigantic discrepancies. Guy goes on the IL one time or even twice, it's probably not going to make that huge of a difference in this particular thing if they're having an otherwise good year. But it's missing those huge chunks, and obviously that's what's bedeviled the White Sox over the last couple seasons.
The lowest that Andrew Benintendi's had in one of those 5 seasons is 136. He missed significant time that year with only 134 games played for the Kansas City Royals, but I just can't see that happening. If he plays games, if he plays 140 games, he's going to get at least 140 hits. That's what his career says. He's at least a hit per game he plays.
Yeah, so I mean they have him as 5 more hits than games, 133 hits to 128 games. So I mean if you think he's going to play 140 games, he's probably good for like 150.
Yeah.
But I mean Tim's showing
How
that
do you project someone will miss a lot of games?
His career says he misses a decent amount of games. Not like a huge chunk. 151, 148, 138, 139, 126.
Stephen Bardos is saying that's why he doesn't listen to computer projections. I don't understand Excel. It doesn't mean I think they're wrong. I don't.
The spreadsheet?
Yeah, I took
software.
I took a couple of computer courses, and that all flew over my head. My mom's an accountant, so
she could have helped you.
Didn't
you
rub
would like
off.
to think.
Yeah. My dad's a fireman. I can't put out a fire.
Oh, wow.
Who knew?
You can't?
I mean,
Yeah, what do you mean?
I'd probably call the fire department.
Water, Sean.
Yeah, but
Hang on, Sean.
But what isn't it if like an oil
Grease fire.
grease fire?
Grease fire, you're not supposed to use
Don't
water.
put
You're supposed to
water.
smother it.
See,
And put some baking soda in it.
yeah,
Baking soda.
I'm just
I got
gonna
baking
call.
soda.
I'm just gonna call the professionals.
I don't know if you guys seen it the other day, and it was at UC Berkeley. There's a guy literally on fire walking through the campus, and they're telling him to get down. And then
yeah.
one guy grabs a bike and tries to knock him over.
I saw
Initially, I saw it. I was like, is he trying to douse the flames with that bike? But people are like,
That's what I
he's
thought,
dumb.
too.
He's trying to knock the guy down. It was funny as hell.
Yeah.
Even though, guy's on fire. It was hilarious to me.
That bike seemed super heavy too.
Yeah.
That guy had to be weak as hell, or was he like trying to gently toss a bike?
Yeah,
like it was so lame.
and he threw it at his upper body. Throw it at his legs. You wouldn't try to get him down. Trap his ass like that.
I don't understand why someone doesn't tackle him.
Because then
Tackle
you're on
him.
fire.
I would
Stop,
with a
drop,
blanket.
and roll, baby.
That's what they were trying to get this gentleman to do.
But then you could stop, drop, and roll. I mean, you gotta, take one for the team. The bike's not gonna do anything.
A man seemed oddly calm for being on fire too.
I didn't look into that story because I thought it probably had a bad ending, or a sad reason why that man was setting. Usually, if a man's setting himself on fire or a person is setting themselves on fire, it's usually maybe with a protest, and it's then they end up dead, and it's sad. So I don't like that. So
Yeah, me either. I'm good on, was it immolation?
Yeah, self-immolation.
Yeah.
all right.
Don't do that, people.
We've been
If you're
around
listening,
for a year. This
Don't
is the
light
first
yourself
time
on fire.
self-immolation has been brought up on the podcast.
You're not
Light
wrong.
yourself on
After
fire.
an 81 and 81 year, you thought maybe it would be mentioned sooner. So Tim is the leader.
Wow. Quite the
Is
transition.
that what you're going with?
Quite the
I
transition.
would say it has to be Tim, especially with the way that I don't.
I mean,
I can't project. I can project him to miss games.
Do you think Tim's going to have a big year? And if you do, then he would be the obvious choice. But if you think, hey, Tim might be sliding backward and Andrew Benintendi's really good, maybe you pick Benintendi. Hey, maybe you're somebody who thinks Luis Robert Jr. is going to win the MVP this year. he might get a lot of hits to do that.
What a silly thing to say.
And heck, Eloy Jimenez is probably the best hitter on the team right now. And, that wouldn't be a bad pick to pick him because the guy who was the best hitter on the team for the last decade pretty much had the hit lead every single year.
Only silly people say that Luis Robert Jr. is going to win the MVP. What dumb people.
Pedro Grifol said that.
He said he could.
So did this.
Herb and Sean said he
these two
will.
Guys, these two guys said it too.
I saw this. I don't know where it was from. I don't think it was from February, but he compared him to Alex Gordon. Did you see this?
Ugh.
In terms of defense, right?
Disappointing.
I told them last time. This is Pedro and Luis. Last time
Who is this from?
That's what I was saying. I just have the screenshot. I don't know. It looks like it would either be Scott's Merkin's font or Daryl's font. I'll have to find out. And I'll make sure I credit them before the end of the podcast. But I told them the last time I saw someone work that hard in the outfield was 9-time Gold Glover Alex Gordon. The way he prepares, the way he gets after it. This guy loves to work. When you have that type of work ethic and that kind of talent, there's no telling what can come of that. That guy has incredible talent, and his attention to detail is off the chart. That combination is a recipe for greatness. Really, ... He's an MVP candidate. So that's Pedro Grifol on it. That was from Bob Nightingale.
There you go.
USA Today.
Sure. Listen, we saw in his rookie year that Luis Robert was doing things in the outfield that were, making your jaw drop and your eyes pop on a nightly basis. He won a Gold Glove as a rookie because of it. Last year, the defense looked not as good, and obviously he had some health issues that were notably impacting that, one of them being he couldn't see playing in center field because of, with some vision issues stemming from that infection that he had in the middle of the year. But you would like to think that if he was healthy, you would see a lot better routes to fly balls and some more of those wow plays that we saw so often in that short time period that was 2020. So he's got the ability to do it. And, you scoff at an Alex Gordon comparison. Guy's one of the best defensive outfielders in that we've had the pleasure of seeing in our generation, right? So I think it's probably quite the compliment. And then, of course, you got to remember who it's coming from. Pedro Grifol seems like he'll be making a lot of comparisons to a lot of Kansas City Royals players.
I'll take the Alex Gordon defensive thing.
It's like Tony La Russa and all the A's.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I just won't take the.
Hey, you talk about what you know, right?
It's true.
He's going to be like, he's going to be a regular Eric Hosmer. Not now, Eric Hosmer. Come on.
Man, that Billy Hamilton really reminds me of Billy Hamilton.
Or Terrence Gore. Or other guys who we had.
Former White Sox great Gerard Dyson.
Oh, yes. I forgot about him. Didn't he win, championships every year, him or Terrence Gore? Won 3 championships in a row just stealing bases.
Terrence Gore, yeah. Because Terrence Gore was a Royal and a Cub. And then, I don't know, was he an Astro or in 17?
He was on the Dodgers in 2020.
Okay, there you go. There's 3.
But they didn't win. Did they win?
2020?
Yeah, they won the fake
championship. It only has him as 2-time World Series champion, so I didn't know if he got a ring or not. But
I'm sure
played 2 games.
He might not have been on the Cubs playoff roster.
I thought they sent one to everyone.
I don't know.
I mean, hell, the Cubs sent one to Starlin Castro. He went on the team for years.
Yeah, no, he was on Atlanta.
And Ricky Renteria.
He was on Atlanta in the postseason. He played a game in the postseason for Atlanta in 2021.
Oh, there you go.
Championship.
So you get Terrence Gore, you win the World Series. That's what it sounds like to me.
He might be a little long in the tooth right now, so I don't know if I'm going to get him. But Billy Hamilton does the same thing, maybe a little bit better than Terrence Gore.
Terrence Gore's 31.
Ooh, golly. How is he 31? He's got to be older than that. No way.
Billy's 32.
Jesus Christ.
Gerard Dyson? Any guesses on Gerard Dyson's age?
36.
38.
No.
38, okay.
Gerard Dyson's 38?
38.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm very surprised. As someone who's covered him multiple seasons, that is surprising.
What was your first year in Kansas City?
My only year in Kansas City was 2012. He was on the White Sox 2 years ago.
Yes. He was but he was his first year was 2010, but his first full year was 2012 in KC. So
yes.
You were kind of coming up right when Gerard Dyson was coming up.
Yes, very true.
So the one guy I want to bring up is I do think the outfielder that will have the most hits is probably Benintendi, just because I don't know if Robert will play. I mean, that's just the biggest concern with Luis Robert. We all know Luis Robert has talent. I mean, that's the easiest thing to probably say. But I think Benintendi, they're looking for him to bat third. And
just he brings a consistency. I mean, I think that's probably one of the big pluses about that signing at all, right, is that you know what you're going to get. Like Andrew Benintendi, offensive consistency, it's probably very easy for a lot of people to say, yeah, he might have the most hits just because I know roughly how many hits he's going to have.
Yeah, he's not a boomer bust candidate at all. Like Joey Gallo might be in Minnesota, where you might get upside of 40 home runs from Joey Gallo, or you might get what Joey Gallo's been the last couple of years. Andrew Benintendi's got a floor that is much higher than most. So you know if he's going to play, he's going to get some hits. But, yeah, if you tell me Luis Robert and/or Eloy Jimenez is going to play a bunch of games where they're not going to be hurt and only time they're going to be out is just to get some rest, either one of those guys, as Vinny said, can win both the White Sox hit title and Major League Baseball's hit title, especially Eloy Jimenez.
I think a dark horse here who has in 6 seasons has 160 hits or more is Elvis Andrus. If he is really good at second base, who's going to play second base? I don't know. I see Hanser Alberto being mentioned by our guy AJ. I'd love to see Hanser Alberto get some run. But if Elvis Andrus is really good at second base, I don't think there's a reason to take him off. He's played 149-plus games in the past 2 years. He's played 150 before. He's played 160. Like, he just might play the most games because he's the best second baseman on the roster. Like,
but also we talked about the lineup. He'll more likely than not be at the bottom of the lineup each and every one of those days. So he'll have, just by that, hundreds of plate appearances fewer than the other guys who are at the top of the lineup. So, yeah, he can hit, and he probably will hit, but I don't think he'll get more hits than the people at the top of the lineup, especially because they're just more talented. And secondly, I think those players when healthy, they're definitely going to get some hits. And I don't know if Elvis at 36 now, is still going to continue being the guy that he was last year. I'm weary on that, even though I think he's the best option for the White Sox at second base.
Well, and two, you say, he's going to bat ninth. Well, what if he is really good batting ninth? I think a lot of folks would be like, well, just move him up in the order then. Why don't you do that? This White Sox team doesn't really seem built that way, does it? Doesn't it? It seems to me like those top four guys are staying in those top four spots, maybe a different order than we might have suspected, but really, I think the only one that could be dropped would be Robert. What do you think? I mean, I think you have Tim Anderson, you have Andrew Benintendi. They're going to be batting in the top four spots. You have Eloy Jimenez. He's going to be batting in the top four spots. Really, a long slump from any of those guys changing the batting order dramatically. I think Robert's probably the only one just because he's probably got a lot more versatility. You could be like, oh, well, we'll put him sixth and he can still be a power bat kind of thing. I'm not sure that applies to those other top two guys especially.
I don't know. I mean, especially with the way Pedro talks about the top four, I just feel like that's going to be the top four. Like if the White Sox top four doesn't hit, I think they're just not a good baseball team. And, we have other issues there than the lineup. But, yeah, no, I think it's a fair question. I do want to bring up, too, this is from Pedro on March 4th. Daryl and Scott both had this. But Grifol and Benintendi hitting third. I like him in any slot in the order. Right now, I like him in the 3-hole. I've got my reasons. We'll address those when the time comes.
Secrets.
But I like him in the 3rd hole right now. That's why he's there. It's not by accident. Why so secretive?
Secrets.
Why?
It's your thing, the NFL location of baseball. Trying to be secretive about some type of clandestine plan the White Sox have. It's hitting third. Just tell me.
Like every Sean in America doesn't have access to Fangraphs and can't find all of these numbers themselves.
Carlos Correa is sharing his top 4 baseball stat sites. Like, he likes Baseball Reference, then Fangraphs, then Savant, then Brooks Baseball. And Pedro Grifol is like, it is trade secret. We will not let this go. This is our secret sauce to winning 92 games this year is Andrew Benintendi batting
also,
third.
He's already batting third.
Exactly.
Everyone knows.
You're not going to change it.
Yeah,
what the hell?
And technically, he does have a higher OPS and OPS plus, I believe, in the 3-hole than he does at the 2-hole. I think it's negligible because he's batted the most times in his career at the 2-hole, and so you could say small sample size for 3. And I think also maybe in the 8 spot he hits very well, but also it's 15 games. So it's not a huge sample size. So if he's just referencing that he actually hits better in the 3-hole with the Boston Red Sox, Kansas City Royals, and the New York Yankees, it's fine. But it's not that like, oh, man, that 3-hole is his shit.
Yeah, it's very minuscule, the difference between that. I want to just point out Le Châtelain. I don't know, my French is bad.
That works.
Anyone going to take a shot at that French?
Le Châtelain.
Le Châtelain.
Maybe.
I don't
Shouldn't
think
have us try to speak French.
Benintendi's going to get a huge bump because of the new shift rules. The person that I see benefited the most is Corey
Yaz.
Seager, or Yaz as well. But Seager, just because he is pulling the ball in the air, like line drive, pull ball, like that is who is going to be helped the most. Like Joey Gallo isn't going to be helped the most because he's trying to hit it over the fence every single time. If he doesn't hit it over the fence, it's an out. Corey Seager is a pull line drive guy where we've seen Benintendi. He's changed his batted ball profile like with the stadium he's been at, but we've seen him largely be an opposite field guy. So I don't even know if the shift's going to affect him that much. I think he's going to just try to put the ball in play.
And that's why I have him as my hit leader, because he looks like a guy that just adjusts to the situation that he's been presented to him and the pitcher that's in front of him and does his best job to get a hit and get on base. Walked as most times in his career last year and got a bunch of hits last year, even though he went to a different team. Didn't really play as outstanding in New York. And you see he sacrificed the power just to get on base. And I think more likely than not, he'll be back to getting some of that power back, especially if they're not going to be shifting him in that short porch in right field.
And to be fair, too, just last year, shifts weighted on base average for Benintendi 318 versus non-shifts weighted on base of 363. So, hey, maybe Benintendi will be boosted a bit here, but we'll have to see. I want to see them play baseball. We haven't seen that happen yet. We will get some World Baseball Classic coming up tomorrow with Cuba and the Netherlands taking on at 10 p.m. Central over in Taiwan. So very excited to watch some real baseball happening.
So what time is that game?
10 p.m.
10 p.m. our time?
Yeah.
Okay, so what time is it for them? Golly.
Probably a normal time.
Yeah.
Well, it's the next day.
Yeah. Maybe they could tell us who won before that. Goodness gracious. I'm not staying up that late to watch Cuba and Taiwan.
At 10 o'clock?
At night? No.
You're really going to bed that early?
I got a bedtime, man. I'm sleeping much more in
Your job is baseball.
We got to get the pitch clock.
2023. Sleeping's excellent, man.
We got to get the pitch clock on the
Sleeping
World
is
Baseball
excellent.
Classic.
Hot takes from Herb. Sleeping is
Like,
excellent.
I used to just stay in the bed and just watch TikTok or Twitter at 10 o'clock and not go to sleep until 1 o'clock. I just put my phone down when I hit the bed. Man, wake up at 8. I'm like, man, I'm refreshed as hell.
14 hours ahead.
Jeez.
So Taiwan is, right now in Taiwan, it's 6:43 a.m. So right now it's 4:43.
Well, just a regular afternoon
Fast
game in
forward
Taiwan.
5 hours.
So like noon?
I mean, I guess
No,
I would
sure.
watch the
Yeah,
game
around there.
because our guys are delaying in Luis Robert Jr. and Yohan Moncada. I would watch it for them specifically.
Well, and Pine Tar Keyboard said Yo-Yo had, Yo-Yo had 160 hits in 19. And if he's back to form, we saw him go 2 for 2 in an exhibition for Cuba.
Practice.
With a homer. And 2 walks. Maybe the practice player is ready to bring it to the games.
So did we get answers? What are our answers? I don't remember our answers.
I will
to
lock
this.
in Tim Anderson.
I'm going Benintendi.
Oh, boy. I just feel I'm going to say Eloy Jimenez.
Put it out there. Make that universe come to truth. That'd be awesome if it was Eloy Jimenez.
I'll say Eloy Jimenez.
I think if Eloy is leading the team in hits, he's a DH, which I obviously would love. Let's get into an ad read, and then we'll talk a little bit about the Monday mailbag from our lovely, lovely diehards in our Discord. Chicago, you've already got the best coverage for your favorite teams to get fitted in the best sports gear around. FOCO has you covered from Soldier Field to the living room, north or south side. Oh, Soldier Field to the front room. North or south side with hoodies, slippers, signs, bobbleheads, and everything in between. Get decked out like DeMar with apparel from the leaders in sports merch and collectibles. FOCO, F-O-C-O. If you're looking for the perfect gift for the football fan in your life, FOCO's got you covered with hoodies to fight that Lake Michigan breeze. So check out FOCO.com or check the link in the description below. Again, that's FOCO.com, F-O-C-O.com. For all non-presale items, just the promo code CHGO for 10% off. Again, FOCO.com for 10% off, and their bobbleheads are fantastic. Also want to let you know about the official beer of CHGO, Goose Island Beer Company. They've been Chicago's beer since 1988. I wanted that yesterday, and I'm glad that we have this back in there. I did love you guys both honking as well, though. Goose has a very, very deep beer roster. They have the lovely 312, as you could see in that golden can right there. But in the taller can right next to it is the Bull City 312. Same beer. Different can, a little bit of a collector's version for you. The Bull City edition is on the can on that one. They also have the Blackhawks Pale Ale, which is a limited release. Both of those are neighbors of Goose Island in the West Loop area. Is it West Loop still for United Center?
United Center isn't. Yeah, I'd
West
say
side.
that's West Loop
West-
still. Yeah,
They call it the West Side, but I would call it Loop.
That area.
it's the edge.
I mean,
it's the
down
edge of West Loop.
Like, what is it? Like 10 minutes for us walking there?
Oh,
and
yeah.
we're in the West Loop, so technically.
Well, hey, I'm parking over here on Thursday.
Damn
Walking
right.
over to the UC and
we're all
going
going
on
on
Thursday.
Thursday.
Separately, we all bought tickets or got tickets for Thursday's Big Ten tournament. It's gonna be exciting.
we're gonna be having fun out there.
Go Cats.
Huh?
Go Cats.
They play Friday.
Who are the Cats?
Northwestern, dude.
I've never
Yeah,
heard
but they
of
play Friday.
Oh, I thought they played Thursday. Never
them.
mind.
No, they play
Either
Friday.
way,
They're
go
too good.
Cats.
They got their double bye for the first time in their history. Bums. Sorry.
Goose Island also has Bourbon County Stout, the Christmas IPA, the Beer Hug IPA series, the Green Line, the Matilda, and the Sophies. At Goose Island has 2 locations that are open and ready to welcome you. Grab a beer right from their innovative tanks at Goose Island Tap Room at 1800 West Fulton, or get a smash burger and fresh beer of the week at the original Clybourne Brewhouse at 1800 North Clybourne. For reservations and pickup, go to gooseisland.com/locations. Goose Island Beer Company.
Can't wait to maybe go back there soon.
The Tap Room?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
I mean, we can go tomorrow, or we can go Thursday.
We can go Thursday.
There we go.
Perfect time.
We between
well, Vinny's going to be there all day. I might be out there all day. So in between sessions, I think it's
That's
an
what I was
11 o'clock game and a 1:30 game, and then the next game's not until 5:30. Quick trip over to the Goose Island.
right
Tap
before
room.
your Illini take place.
Oh, Jesus, I might need it because they're playing Penn State again, and Penn State has dog walked the Illini both times they played them.
My guy, Jalen Pickett, the 6-year senior.
And they're like, oh, we're not going to guard him. Let him be open. And he just keeps on hitting threes.
Let's jump into the Monday mailbag. We want to thank all of our lovely, lovely diehards that have been with us for the full year. If you do want to be a diehard, check out allchgo.com. Diehards get a t-shirt when you sign up. You get a nice little diehard membership card, and you get access to our CHGO lounge where you get to chat with us about White Sox, sports betting, Cubs, Bills, Blackhawks. There's channels about everything that your heart desires.
Northwestern.
There's a Big Ten one. There's not a Northwestern one specific. But you can talk Big Ten.
And
with us.
newsletter for our diehards coming tomorrow or the day after.
Absolutely.
Coming soon.
So make sure you sign up. Let's jump into some diehard questions here. Kevin, feel free to just flash one. We got one from Ian Robo here. If we had a player, one of our top players, say what Salvador Perez said about an opposing manager in the same division, how happy or not happy would you be? Would it bother you? Our Chuck talked with Sal Perez, and Sal Perez said, everybody knows that I love him like my dad. I seriously thank God that he put Pedro in my life. I got 5 gold gloves. At least 4 I won because of him, because he always wanted me to get better. And this is too. I thought this was poignant about your point about the White Sox 5-day kind of, let's take it 5 days at a time. He always wanted me to get better. He doesn't care what the score is. If we're winning by 10 runs or losing by 10 runs, keep doing your job behind the plate. Keep focused. Keep your concentration, because at the end of that year, that counts. I care about you as a player, and even outside baseball, it's a family. He means a lot. And then, he just kind of hypes him up here and saying, like, it's weird not seeing him in Kansas City. So what do we make of Sal Perez hyping up Pedro Grifol?
Man's giving credit to where credit's due. And what he's talking about, where he's like, if you're down 10 or up 10, doesn't matter. That's process over results. Giving credit to the person that you think developed you into the player that you become is a thing that people should always do. And so I wouldn't mind if Pedro or somebody, Yohan Moncada, talked about Cleveland Guardian. I want them to talk about somebody in glowing terms, especially if they helped them out in their career to get to where they are. So I have no problem with any White Sox if they were to talk about another opposing player or manager or front office person, give them credit due for what they've done for their career, even if they don't want to, even if they didn't help their career. If somebody came out and said, man, that Jose Ramirez, what a talent. I love his style. I want to be like Jose Ramirez. It's like, thank you. That's a good goal to have. And if Salvador Perez, calls the man like his father, wants to give credit, I have no problem with that. I love that. That's a beautiful thing. No matter what, he's still your brother. He's still your father. He's still, that link is still there, even though he's on a different team. Because it's, at the end of the day, I think Vinny reminds us this time, all the time, it's just baseball. It's not life. It's just baseball. It's a game played by silly adults who happen to be good at it. So I want that credit. I want people to be giving credit where it's due.
Yeah, I mean, building off of that, this is why would anyone have a problem with this, right? I mean, I think you've got to remember that the baseball players and the coaches and the managers, they do not think like you guys, like you fans do. They do not say, what, a jersey that isn't mine, I hate them. They don't say that because of two reasons, right? There's the personal. Herb, you brought it up. Salvy Perez loves Pedro Grifol. Why would he not want him to succeed? He loves this guy. He's probably thrilled that he has this opportunity finally, one he's been working his entire life to get. He's a person that's very important to Salvy in his life, so of course he wants what's best for him. And number two, there's the business thing of this, right? Because why would you, if you're a Major League Baseball player, there's only 30 companies you can go work for, right?
Right.
So why would you, in the way that player movement happens today, what, you're going to sit here as a rookie or a second-year player and say, boy, I hate those Cleveland Guardians because I play for the White Sox, or boy, I hate those Kansas City Royals because I play for the White Sox. Guess what? You might be on that team next year. That's how this industry works, right? So I don't think people look at opposing teams as something to dislike. They just look at it as another company in their industry kind of thing, and that's the baseball element of it. And then obviously there's the personal. Salvy and Pedro have a very close connection, right? But then there's just guys who are your friends or your workplace associates, right? I put a picture up on the website of the Die Hard newsletter that's going up tomorrow, and it's a picture of Mookie Betts and Andrew Benintendi yucking it up with each other. Former teammates in Boston, right? Mm-hmm. Well, now one's on the Dodgers, one's on the White Sox. They don't care about the Boston Red Sox, but they're still friends. Of course, they want the other to succeed. So it makes total sense.
Right. Again, it's a business for these players, and for us, it's a lifetime devotion, which obviously creates some inequities. And I think that's why, Tim Anderson's comments where he mentions the fans is just always a bad place to go down, because like as much as you care and you're paid for it, the fans just, they're fanatics. Right. So, it's, I have no problems with it. Matt Quatraro might be like, hey, what the hell? Damn, did you not want me? But I don't really care.
I don't think that either. I bet Matt Quatraro knows Pedro Grifol, and I bet he's very happy for him too, right?
They're both Florida boys.
I mean, as a fan
Actually,
of the White Sox,
Quatraro's from the Northeast.
I mean, he spent a little time in Florida last year. I think we're fans, and we marveled at how well the Guardians played last year. There was no hate on my side about the Cleveland Guardians. They're beautiful. That's beautiful baseball. That's baseball that you're supposed to play. And I think every White Sox fan, if they're honest with themselves, they would want their team to play like that. And so, yeah, you should always look to other teams and say, hey, man, what those people are doing over there, or that individual player is doing over there, is beautiful, and I like what he's doing.
Absolutely.
Like, there's no hate. There shouldn't be any hate.
No, I mean,
even though the Twins are garbage.
Games haven't started, too.
That's hilarious.
Can we go to the next diehard question here, Kevin? We can go to Stephen Gottrett, who has, in the event of an injury at this time, in what order would you call up the minor league pitchers in a starting pitching role? In all honesty, I haven't recognized more than half of the names of the pitchers they've been using in games. Jesse Schultens is a new name for some. Brian Shaw's a new name, speaking of Cleveland. I guess there is that guy who was on the Fuck Tony team and now is on the White Sox, but he's not going to be starting.
Nope.
It seems like Davis Martin is
he's the obvious answer. I think the question probably is getting at who's after him, right? And great question. Yeah. Great question. Sean Burke has gotten a lot of hype at camp as the guy within the system who's probably the next guy who's ready to jump up there. He was just sent to minor league camp yesterday, so he obviously won't be with the team on opening day. But he's a guy who's getting a lot of nods from the coaches and the front office folks as someone to keep an eye on in the minor leagues. So that's a name I can throw out there. But you know what? I don't know. It might be Jesse Schultens. It might be A.J. Alexi. They signed some guys over the offseason. I don't think any of them were terribly exciting to the fan base, but that's what depth is. It's the person that you can call on when something goes wrong. Whether they will succeed or not, of course, is a different story.
Before he got injured with the Tommy John surgery, Jonathan Seaver and Jimmy Lambert used to come up all the time and give you those starts that he's talking about. Now that Stever might be on the other side of that Tommy John surgery and maybe healthy, that'll be a player I would look at after Davis Martin, maybe after A.J. Alexi. just because he's done it before to varying degrees of success, more bad success. And that was the same thing with Jimmy Lambert when he used to come up as a starter. It's like, ugh, I'm good on this. But hopefully Jonathan Stevens learned a couple things in his minor league stint and his year away of being a Tommy John guy.
Yeah, I think the reports were saying that he was sitting like 91, 92, so not great. I don't know if he's fully back, but that's something to watch. I know that he was a guy that was probably pumping around 94, so he's still not at where he was before the injury, but still spring training.
Well, and I think the big name to remember here in this whole conversation is Davis Martin, because were we answering this question with Davis Martin a year ago?
Nope.
No. And then he came up and became very reliable. So the answer to that question might just be the guy who looks the best in AAA when that need arises, and perhaps he turns in to a reliable Davis Martin type, or perhaps it's throw him to the Wolves one day. He gives up 7 runs and goes right back to Charlotte. Yeah, I mean, that happens a lot too.
Minor league camp is still going on too, so I mean, some guys could be making impressions on backfields right now, and we were really unaware of that. But Schultens is behind Lance Lynn in innings pitched. I wouldn't be surprised for him to see a decent amount of work. We talked about this, and we'll talk about this guy in a little bit. But Tanner Banks, he's a guy that has a decent amount of length. I don't know if he'd be a starter, but he could probably spot start for you.
He could start a bullpen day, absolutely.
Yeah, give you about 3 innings if you're lucky. And there is a guy, Lane Ramsey, very clean, very smooth delivery, 6'9", really has never had the volume of a starting pitcher, but I don't know, it just seems kind of effortlessly.
He's very tall.
Very tall, 6'9".
See him walking around camp, and you're like, oh, hi.
Is he taller than
Noah Schultz?
Noah Schultz?
I don't know. What's Noah Schultz listed as?
6'9", I think.
6'9".
Also very tall.
Yeah. So
Noah Schultz is also very tall.
I'm on the Lane train. I'll say that. But yeah, 6'9" for Schultz as well.
The only thing with people that tall, repeatable mechanics. A lot of levers, a lot of things.
Simple.
Huh?
I'm telling you, it's simple, baby.
6'9"?
It's simple.
So just repeat all that things you got to do.
There's no motion. It's out of the stretch.
But all those levers coming at you. You got to do the same thing every once in a while.
I'm telling you, he looks like he's 6'4". I'm telling you. I'm just saying.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
He doesn't look like it doesn't look like it's a lanky 6'9" Lucas Giolito. All these limbs coming at you. It's a very fluid, compact 6'9" delivery. I'm not really worried about repeatability.
I am.
All right. Hey, I don't know shit though. Whatever. Let's get to the next mailbag question. We already got that one for Steve. Yeah. Other Sean saying, with Garrett Crochet and Liam Hendricks being unavailable, who do you think makes the pen to start the season? Graveman, Kelly, Lopez, Bummer, guaranteed. Ruiz, Lambert, Diekman are good bets. That leaves one spot for Martin, Avila, Shaw, Foster, or whoever. Let's start with Graveman, Kelly, Lopez. They are locks.
Yes, sir.
Aaron Bummer.
I mean, I think if healthy, he's a lock. I think, though, that we need to find out more, right? He seems very confident that he'll be ready for opening day. Pedro Grifol says he's on pace to be healthy and ready to go. But we'll see. I think that there's nothing wrong with taking a little bit more time here in the early portions of the season. I mean, if you're the White Sox, you believe in what Aaron Bummer can do on the mound, and you say, boy, I really want that guy for September and October, then why wouldn't you say, okay, take an extra week or two here at the beginning of the season? Baseball will be there for you in a moment. So we'll see. But it's also very possible that, he brought all this up to the reporters saying, hadn't been off the mound yet, but he had a month. You know what I mean? That's a long time to get completely ready to go. So it's definitely possible he could be there, but maybe you make 2 drafts of your roster projection, one where Aaron Bummer is healthy enough to open with the team and one where he is maybe a little bit delayed.
Yeah, assuming health, those people we named are going to make the team. But Davis Martin, probably not in my bullpen because I want him to be available for spot starting. So I'll have him keep down there in minor league camp and then go to the minor leagues when it's possible to get stretched out, to pitch the 6 or 7 innings you need to, instead of doing the Vince Velasquez thing last year where you're spot starting and then you're coming in for middle relief, things like that, which is going to mess your rhythm up. I think he's a very valuable piece to this White Sox organization, but I don't think as the 13th man on a 13-man bullpen would do him or the White Sox well. So I would take more of a flyer if there's a guy out there that has, the Anderson Severino type of guy where he can't find the zone, but he has flame. He has some good stuff. I would take a flyer on the 13th man on a 13-man bullpen instead of a guy that you know is going to do well or do all right in his rookie year like Davis Martin. So if A.J. Alexei or all those players that we've named, Schultens, want to be that long relief guy, I would go with them or the Avila guy instead of Davis Martin.
We're thinking eight for the bullpen, right? Because 13
13
pitchers
for the total. Sorry.
13 pitchers, 5 starters.
Yes.
You go with 8 in the bullpen. Yeah, I don't think Davis Martin will be making that bullpen. I think he's too valuable to have as that guy who can come up and start.
Well, and I want to mention Avila too, because he was a Rule 5 draft pick. If they do not include him in the bullpen, they have to send him back to San Francisco for $100K.
Or get some compensation, right? Or work out a deal?
Yeah, but, I don't think that they're going to just send him back. I think they did give him some run. We saw early last year that not only Tanner Banks, due to injuries, got some run, but also our guy Bennett Souza, who's now, I think, in Cleveland.
Cincinnati.
Yes. But I think that Nick Avila is probably going to get a chance here, and he throws like 97. I mean, he's kind of that guy, long, lanky, but with
What does he look like? How tall does he look when he pitches?
He looks. Well, he's listed at 6'4".
I don't care what he's listed as. I want to know what he looks like.
He listed at 6'4", but I think he probably is about 6'5", probably 6'6". He looks a little bit more lanky. I don't know if the repeatability is there, but 194 ERA last year at Single A, friends.
This has been scouting with Sean Anderson.
Yeah.
And the minor league pitcher.
So why hasn't someone hired me? I'm
the
so
minor
good at
league
this.
Boston Red Sox pitcher
Frank
of the
German.
week, right? Oh, that's Frank German.
Frank
not
German.
Avila.
Yeah, he's Avila's from San Francisco.
Oh, I forgot about Frank German.
Well,
There's Gregory Santos too.
Portland Casper, who was calling him Franklin Herman.
Oh my god.
Was he really?
Oh,
Oh.
yeah, the whole
Was.
game, yeah.
Len, we'll send you the
We'll hit you up.
the
From
release,
New
the
York.
press release with the pronunciation in there. But yeah, I think Avila is the guy who benefits from this number of guys in that bullpen who won't be there for opening day. Of course, you've got Liam Hendricks going through what he's going through. I think he Instagrammed today that he is going through round 3 of chemo today, so all the best to him. And then you've got Garrett Crochet, of course, who Rick Hahn said will probably be back and ready with the Major League team in about mid-May. So you got to get some guys to fill in between there. I think Avila is the guy who benefits the most, but I think it turns Jose Ruiz from a will he make the bullpen to, yeah, Jose Ruiz is still in the bullpen. I think the only question is, do they want a long man? And sometimes you don't need one, you know what I mean? Or sometimes teams don't think they need one. I think Banks is probably the guy who would be that innings eater type, but I think their hope is that they have fresh starters, who aren't physically hurt right now, who can soak up a lot of those innings, and they won't need to take Lance or Dylan out in the 4th inning and need a guy to go pitch for 3. Those kinds of things usually trigger a bunch of moves anyway, right? Hey, the guy just threw 3 innings. He's not going to be available for another 3 days. We should just make a move and bring somebody else up here. But yeah, I think everybody else is slam dunk. Graveman, Kelly, Lopez, Lambert, Diekman, and I would say Bummer is a slam dunk. If Bummer can't go, there's one name, if you want a dark horse name, and I only bring this up because Pedro kept bringing him up at spring training. Sox have a minor leaguer named Edgar Navarro, who is just getting rave reviews from Pedro Grifol. He is, we were comparing it, I think he is Pedro Grifol's version of Carlos Perez, who at every opportunity the last 2 springs, Tony La Russa would talk about how good he thought Carlos Perez was. Now we've got Pedro Grifol bringing up Edgar Navarro. So I guess you could keep that name in the back of your brain, but I think the bullpen, maybe not easy to figure out because they have a lot of options. We just ran through a lot of names, but I think you lean more toward the veteran guys, the established guys, and then a guy like Avila who, roster rules would dictate maybe a benefit to keeping him on the big league roster for opening day.
Yeah, I think the 8 that you mentioned are pretty on point. I had Graveman, Kelly, Lopez, Diekman, Ruiz, Avila, Lambert, and then the one kind of missing there would be Aaron Bummer if healthy. But if not, I think Tanner Banks is probably a decent name to fill in there. I think just he proved that he could be,
Reliable.
Yeah. He wasn't the best out there, but again, a long man and also another lefty. I think you probably need that versatility. You just don't want to be having Diekman alone there. But again, it's opening day because guys get injured, guys might be healthy. We don't know the status of Liam Hendricks. What we've heard from camp is, obviously he's going through round 3 of chemo, but he's at camp. He's throwing down the right field bullpen. He's telling people on the team that he wants to play. So, again, we don't know the status of what he will or
Yeah,
won't
and
do.
probably we won't for at least a couple of weeks, I'd imagine.
So we'll see what happens with the bullpen, but it seems like the likely 8, but maybe Edgar Navarro makes a little bit of an impression here. Maybe Lane Ramsey makes an impression here. We'll have to see. Anything else you want to?
No, I'm good.
All right, cool. All right, let's go to the next mailbag question here. From our guy Ryan Peterson. Berger and Sheets keep getting a lot of run, and they both have power. Berger, first rounder, Sheets, a second rounder. If they are not on the Sox, are they good enough to swap for starting pitching depth during the season? And is there any question that Colas is starting in right field? I would still say the Colas right field thing is up in the air. It's a competition.
Yeah, I mean, I think you've got. I would say that it's more of a playing time competition right now than it is a roster spot competition. I think that both Colas and Sheets make this team. Obviously, we know that we have to bring up, this is like, some sort of legal requirement that we have to bring up Eloy Jimenez just because Pedro has brought him up so much. But I think it is, can Oscar Colas be the starting or the right fielder, or do they go in with a timeshare of some kind? I think Oscar Colas is doing enough to earn very positive reviews right now, and from what you can gather, there might not be anything that would prevent him from getting that starting job right now. But of course, there's still 3 weeks left of Cactus League games, a little more than that actually. I think just a little over 3 weeks. So we'll see how that rolls out. But in terms of that Berger Sheets part of that question, I mean, yeah, but what are you expecting back, kind of thing? You know what I mean? Like, Jake Berger is a guy right now who is blocked on his own team. So what is the trade value as him with the White Sox right now, right? Because the only thing the White Sox can use him as right now is a guy to call up when somebody gets hurt. And that's not really the most valuable thing in baseball. Obviously, there might be a team out there that could use him and start him somewhere. Who knows if they need a first baseman? But I wouldn't expect a ton back just because of what he is to the White Sox. And with Sheets, who knows? Maybe Gavin Sheets can come in and grab a fairly hefty portion of that timeshare in right field. And if that's the case, then he's pretty valuable to the White Sox.
Yeah, just like Vinny said, if these guys play, that means somebody got hurt. Now, there you can increase your value as those individual players, but as of now, no one's going to be throwing a starting pitcher back to the White Sox for either Berger or Sheets. Now, it only takes one team to do it, but I don't think those guys project to be major leaguers on the White Sox team starting. And if they were, the White Sox would covet them and keep them themselves. So I don't know if you're going to get a starting pitcher and a starting pitcher that you would want for these guys unless they have enough time to show their wares, 100-plus games, whatever. And then at that time, if they're doing that damn well, why would you trade them?
Absolutely. Shout out to Dan, who says smash that like button.
Thank you, Dan.
Over an hour-long podcast, and we're still going, folks. If you like the content, please give us a thumbs up here. I think, if Gavin Sheets is good, why are the White Sox necessarily trading him? Like, wouldn't they use a good Gavin Sheets?
Been craving lefty power for a while now. They think they're going to get it from Oscar Colas. What if they get it from Gavin Sheets? Nothing wrong with that, right?
Right. and Jake Berger, too, it's just like, again, like, what does he do? He is a good power bat, but it really seems like someone would take a flyer on him, and you're right, it takes just one team, but we saw Nicky Lopez rumors. I don't think we're going to see, like, Jake Berger or Gavin Sheets rumors, right? Like, I think if a deal happens, it's happened, and, we'll just kind of react from there, but I think it'd be tough to predict Jake Berger is interested by 5 teams, Berger sweepstakes.
Jake Berger is a minor leaguer right now. I mean, maybe he on another team that might not be the case, but he's a minor leaguer who can't crack a 26-man roster with the organization that he's with, most likely. What do you expect to get back from that kind of player, right?
Right. One more here, and then we'll wrap up the Mailbag Monday. From our good guy.
I believe we only had 4 in there.
3?
Ian, Other Sean, Ryan, and Steven are the
All right,
we're done. All right, cool. Can you show the weird Mets scoreboard? And then we'll get out of
this
here?
is hilarious.
What is this?
Objectively hilarious.
That's the new Mets scoreboard.
Why is it so big?
Why is it so big? They had a picture. I'm gonna do that. They had a picture and showed the old scoreboard, and it was literally honestly, it took up this much of the screen.
Yeah.
That's not good for anybody. I was away from my mic, but the old one was small.
I mean, the Kansas City Royals have something similar, but it makes sense because it's in like a Royals type of shape. but it's not that ginormous and like so taking your eye off of everything else in the atmosphere. I love Citi Field. It's a great field. I don't know what drove them to have a bigger scoreboard. I understand probably more money and more availability to put your ads up on there, but that's just a monstrosity.
I'll tell you what, every time I go to Kansas City and there's that giant scoreboard in center field, I always wonder how is it standing up. And so now you've got a bigger one, and I would just be sitting there the whole time being like, trying to do math to see, am I out of the way of this thing if it were to tip over?
See, I have that fear with street lamps, like just modern day, like there's 6 on every single street. I have that fear that those things are going to come down crashing on me. So no, I'm with you. That scoreboards like that. Ugh.
Boom.
Ugh. Walking around all these tall buildings in Chicago makes me sick.
You think a building's going to fall at any point?
You never know.
There's that one on the riverfront, the world's most structurally unsound building that is shaped like this. That one I'll give you, but other than that, yeah.
There is one time I was walking, and it was obviously construction going on in the building, and I had my water bottle, and I was ready to drink from my water bottle, and then a big wad of spit landed on it. So you never know what's going to fall from up above.
Sure, but that's just someone spitting off the top of the building.
And it was gross and ruined my day. What if a giant piece of metal falls and ruins my day, and I die? That'd be sad.
That would ruin your day.
So there you go.
It's like the falling ice in the winter. It's actually scary. That actually happens, though. Yes. Not a building falling. That's a little irrational, I think.
Right. Well, it is my...
Kevin's just crushing you over here.
Seriously. Damn, go sing Green Day, Kevin. It's going to do it. I don't know. I'm sorry. That's going to do it for the CHGO White Sox podcast. You can follow me on Twitter or you can follow the podcast on Twitter at CHGO_White Sox. That's Vinny Duber. You can follow him on Twitter at Vinny Duber. He's our CHGO White Sox beat writer. That's Herb Lawrence. You can follow him on Twitter at AcknerWall23. He's our CHGO White Sox community leader. And I'm Sean Anderson. You can follow me on Twitter at Sean_W_Anderson. Thank you to Kevin Wells for producing this show. And we will talk to you tomorrow live on the CHGO White Sox podcast at 4 p.m.